everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome to round 9 of our F125 Aston Martin Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Spanish Grand Prix, of course. If you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Monaco, I would highly recommend going back and checking out the duel in the Formula 1 crown, the easiest track inside F125. I tried to make it quite difficult for myself. It didn't really work. We still were able to claim our first ever victory in this career mode and finally return to the podium for the first time since Australia as well. If we take a look at the World Championship though, Lando Norris now for the first time this season leads the way ahead of Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen still right there in the fight as well. And then we are best of the rest at the moment. Just consistent good point scoring has brought us up to P4, just ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda. Fernando Alonso, he bagged his first podium of the year as well last weekend with a third place as well on the Monaco streets. To be honest, the car was just really good around Monte Carlo, so I'm hoping that we can maintain that pace as we head into this weekend's racing as well. If we take a look at the current R&D, you can see we've got a big buffer now to Williams behind us. Mercedes are just a couple of upgrades in front. We have got an upgrade in the works, and so does Fernando, but desperately obviously just trying to get as many onto the car as we possibly can right now. I don't think we've got the budget to try and put another one on at the moment, but we are always looking behind the scenes, trying to get as many of those done as we possibly can, like I said. Obviously, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 10k subs on the channel, but for now, we've got a secret meeting with McLaren. What are they going to offer me? Well, having a look then at what they want to offer, you can see there they haven't done that many upgrades to the car so far this season. We've probably maintained a little bit more momentum than them. However, they are winning most Grand Prix still. I think you'd be a fool not to at least kind of entertain the idea of joining them in the near future. I think we'll continue talks, but I'm still not entirely convinced.
It's a Catalonian qualifying for you today. Welcome along to Spain, to Barcelona, and wherever you are in the world, do you feel the need? The need for speed?
Well, it's been a few races since we last had a wet qualifying session inside this game, so it only seemed fair that we return to Barcelona in June. And it's raining. That is a little bit peculiar. But anyway, moving though into qualifying, I've told the team categorically this weekend they will listen to me when it comes to tyre choice. You guys remember Miami as to what happened there. We had an absolute stinker. Every other car went intermediates. Aston Martin forced both Alonso and I on wets. Yep, the team are already saying that the wet tyre is going to be the way to go, but the Delta reckons the intermediate should be about a second a lap faster. I want to just try and get a couple of laps on the board early on, and then we'll kind of make a choice whether we want to go the other way or not. Our first lap then, I tried not to use much battery at all, just to try and get our eye in, build up some temperature in the tyres. We should just about have enough fuel to go for another one. We were slowest on the board there, but we can definitely find a load more time. You can tell they definitely haven't keyed in the calculations for the difference between the intermediates and the wets properly inside F125. Back on F124, these conditions would have certainly been intermediates. I mean, the wets, a bit like IRL, were pretty much irrelevant in F124. But, yeah, at the moment, though, we're only finding about another 3/10 on this lap. We know the AI good in the rain anyway on this game, but we'll try and get a slightly better time on the board then as through the final corner. See, we're pretty much last of the order at the moment. That's going to see an improvement, but we will stay in last place. Well, the only driver we seem to have gone quicker than was Charles Leclerc, and he was stuck behind me doing his qualifying lap, so the Ferrari man, he will be looking to try and get back out there and set a big improvement, but everybody then coming back out for their final runs. Looks like everybody is still on a set of a full wet tyre, so I think we've made the right call this weekend. Again, though, I'm going to try and do a bit of a build lap, and then we'll go for more of a push lap on our second run. I'm just hoping, yeah, that we don't end up, pretty much to the back of the field again. We make our way then up through the final few corners. Look at that delta, over a second in the green at the moment. So at least we know that we're at least going to be kind of competitive with everybody else in this session. Pierre Gasly down in P17 there. Ollie Behrman now getting relegated down the order as well. But that's going to be a 1:29.2. Only puts us ahead of Pierre. But now we're going to try and use all of the battery for this last-ditch run. I feel like the AI have backed out now, so they're not going to be going for another one. So I'm hoping this is where the conditions improve somewhat. It's great to gain a little bit of an advantage, because the AI are very good in the rain on this game. A very stark contrast to Monaco, this, where we accidentally dominated. Here today, we are struggling.
Fernando's lap times are faster. You're down on your teammate.
That's not what we want to hear at the moment, but I don't think we're going to be able to do much about it here as we make our way up in towards the final few corners. We always know Fernando Alonso gives it a little bit extra at his home Grand Prix, but as we try and throw the car through, well, we are about 3/10 up at the moment, but will we be able to maintain that speed all the way back round to the start-finish line there? A little bit wide over the curbing through the penultimate corner, but 6/10 up then by the time we get back round to the line. We go P10. I'm happy with that. No, we don't. We're 18th. I can't read. Well, there we are. Max Verstappen dominating in these changeable conditions, but he will line up on pole position then, just ahead of Charles Leclerc, with both of his championship rivals a little bit down the order here, so it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. 18th place for us there, 1.5 seconds slower than Fernando. We've said it before, the AI are very good in the rain on this game, so we've got to try and make the difference up in the race.
Welcome along, everyone, to sunny Spain, specifically to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. So many great moments in Formula One history have been written at this very track over the years, including Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari back in '96. That win was in the rain. We might have better weather here today, but we're just as overjoyed to be at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and the popular opinion in the paddock is that we never wanted the chicane in the first place. That's now been gone, the final corner is much faster, and at 2.9 miles and 14 turns, we await the Spanish Grand Prix. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Yuki Tsunoda completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Piastri, Hamilton, Lando Norris, and Russell, Fernando Alonso, Lawson, Sainz, and Esteban Ocon, Leclerc, Albon, Nico Hülkenberg, Doohan, Behrman, Hadjar, Mr. Monaco, and Gabriel Bortoleto. Antonelli and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. 33 laps ahead of us, and the team are adamant that the two-stop is going to be the way to go today. And you know what? I think we'll agree with them for once. Often I try and stretch a one-stop, but here in Barcelona it can be quite tight, especially with the early season cars as well. And I fancy having a bit of a fun trying to carve our way back through the pack. Ready though on the grid, starting from P17. The 5 red lights are on. Oh, a mighty long hole, but it is going to be lights out, and away we go there. Well, Doohan got to the middle of the road and then could do nothing with it. We're practically going to be pushing Ollie Behrman on the run down in towards that first corner as everybody just tries to figure themselves out there. We'll try and find an avenue around the outside of a couple of cars. Going wheel to wheel then with Alex Albon, who of course had an absolute stinker here. IRL, whoa, Behrman just cut in on Alex, and I think we both got a little bit spooked there as to where our fellow Brit was trying to go up towards the top of the hill, but will somehow stay out of trouble. Charles Leclerc taking grid penalties here has allowed Red Bull to have a front row lockout for the start of this one. As like I said, we've got to try and make progress quite quickly here early on. A little bit of contact there with Ollie as we try and make our way down the hill. Whoa! I thought I was fully in front of him. I apologise, Behrman. I thought I was fully in front. I thought he'd back out, and I wanted to try and open up the circuit width as best as I could there. I think he might have picked up front wing damage from that one. I'm sorry. It wasn't my intention. But yeah, Red Bull's front row lockout, though, didn't last long. I think Verstappen has held onto the lead. But I think Piastri has moved up then and into P2 off the start. So I believe if it were to finish like this, it would be Oscar to be back at the top of your World Championship. And no, it's Tsunoda leading. Yuki Tsunoda is leading the Spanish Grand Prix. Max Verstappen's the one that lost the places off the start. He's trying to go back around the outside of Piastri on the run in towards turn 1 there, and I think he's made that work. But Yuki Tsunoda, could we see him win his first race today? I'm still sceptical. I don't think we're going to have particularly great straight line speed around this venue today. I did try to set the car up to be quite quick in the rain there, as you can see. Oh, Hulkenberg just slowing Alex Albon and myself down through turn 1. Maybe now has become a bit disconnected with those cars in front, but look at the run we're able to get to the inside of Alex Albon. Just able to hold the tighter line with the more downforce that this Aston Martin's got. Albon, whoa, trying to look back around the outside there. Just tried to kind of turn in towards me, and we were trying to get the car planted. That could have been both of us off into the wall. Luckily we'll survive, and now we've got to go in pursuit of the other green machine. Well, it feels like Hulkenberg and I have just been hanging on for dear life against some of these other cars early on in the race. I feel like our tyre wear is not fantastic either on this set of the softs, so I might actually opt for mediums at the first pit stop there and see how far we can take them.
Okay, mate. Engine's running too hot. Engine is running too hot. Let's keep it a bit cooler for now, please.
Not a lot I can do there, Mark, at the moment. We're trying to push on as best as we can. But look at that. The left-hand side tyres do really still take a beating here. Luckily, they don't overheat as easily. But yeah, my goal is try and go over to mediums about lap 10. That way we can see how far they'll go. And we can either double medium to the end or use another set of softs for the final stint. That's the target now. I'm just waiting for Hulkenberg to drop out of the DRS of Ocon. Otherwise, I just cannot get past him.
If you think you can get past, make use of the overtake button and see what you can do.
Do you not honestly think I've already thought of that, Mark? I'm trying to use the overtake mode. Hulkenberg, he's just rapid in a straight line. I'm noticing a big bunch up of cars, though, just in front now, so I'm tempted to actually try and come in the end of lap 9, or do 12 laps on each set of mediums, depending on how well they last, and maybe we can try and undercut our way up through. Pretty certain it's Russell causing this train, and I do not want to be stuck behind it forever. Well, we are right on the brink of getting the tyre wear warning light up, and that normally means that then you're going to notice a huge drop-off in grip. So I think, yeah, we're going to make the call. We're going to box now in this Grand Prix and see if we can try and undercut some of these guys. It might only be a 1 or a 2 lap undercut. That could be very, very useful in towards the next stint there. As I mean, we've just been staring at Nico Hulkenberg's gearbox there. Nice and aggressive on pit lane entry. Only just getting the car slowed down there. I don't think we could have done that much better had I wanted to. But bolting on a set of mediums then for this next stint. Hopefully a nice clean tidy stop. 2.3, that's not bad.
Fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting.
Not quite Ferrari level pit stops inside this game, but pretty good going nonetheless.
You only have to stop once now, 1 stop left.
We have got to be really careful on this outlap that we don't take too much out of the tyre. But we've also got to be careful that we push enough as well. I definitely have screwed over Ollie Behrman today. I kind of feel a little bit sorry for him. Because he might not see another car. There we go, we're not actually seeing that many cars into the pit lane there. And I believe that's Lando Norris, Ocon, and Hulkenberg all in. So hopefully we'll have got an undercut on at least 2 of them. But yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe a lot more cars are on the medium here than I realised early on. And perhaps we've taken the strategy ever so slightly the wrong way. Is completely flat through that final corner. Try and use some battery on the run back down towards turn 1. We're definitely going to get the jump on Hulkenberg there, and you can see we have come out quite close behind Norris. I assume he's now going to try and undercut past Russell. So if we could just stay in his DRS range, this would work fantastically. I mean, look at that. We've got a 3-second undercut on Hulkenberg. That's pretty good going. Pretty much everybody else then into the pit lane, but as long as we stay in the DRS of Lando Norris, I'm pretty happy at the moment. No real point trying to attack him. But yeah, this undercut has worked out beautifully then in this Grand Prix. Now ahead of Carlos Sainz and our teammate here by a good couple of seconds. No idea what strategy George Russell's going with. I assume he started on the medium as well. But my goal is to just hang inside the range of Norris for as long as I can. Even Hulkenberg's undercut very well. Annoyingly, we've now lost the range to Lando Norris in front of us. This is Alonso. New fastest lap of the day. Love to see that for our teammate, who is really trying to push on at the moment. But I wonder if some of the AI are one-stopping this. One of the Red Bulls, I believe it's Verstappen, still out there at the front of the order. One of the McLarens as well. That's obviously got to be Oscar Piastri. And both Ferraris still out there. If they can get to about lap 15, lap 16... surely they can take hard tyres to the end.
We want to keep them behind, please. This is super critical for our strategy.
I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do. We've got the two Spaniards chasing me down. I think all I can really hope for at the moment is that I hold up Sainz and allow Alonso to close in. Nothing I can do. What do they honestly expect me to do against that?
We needed, I'm afraid, but look, let's move on. Get your head down and chin up and focus till the end of the race.
I'm hoping Sainz isn't going to be as quick as Lando Norris, although he has been very good so far this year. But hopefully, yeah, we can use him to drag us along for a few more laps. Ollie Behrman, lap 15, almost a lap down already. I am so sorry. Oh, there we go. Leclerc's in. He's on hards. Okay. So some of the AI are trying to make the one-stop work then in this Grand Prix, and that's going to mean that we are more than likely fighting for scraps in this race. But Ferrari, Mercedes... and even Max Verstappen then feeling that's going to be the quicker way to go. Andrea Kimi Antonelli is really struggling as well, having to drag those mediums. 16 laps seems like an awfully long way to take that set. Surely these guys are going to be very slow by the end of the race as well. Oh, Kimi Antonelli finally into the pit lane then. That's going to give Sainz some DRS there. We absolutely understeered chronically through that final corner. Here comes Alonso. Not going to bother fighting him. There's no point at the moment getting into a squabble with our teammate. Hopefully he can try and challenge Carlos just in front. But yeah, Lando Norris you'll see in that McLaren. He's not getting away from either of us. As Oscar Piastri now has made his pit stop. And he's only a couple of seconds back as well. I think the big question is going to be Yuki Tsunoda. He was the one obviously leading this race before the split strategy came out. Is it going to help or hinder him? Oh, there we go, Fernando. Hopefully he's going to make the move there. The two Spanish drivers battling with each other wheel to wheel on the run back down towards Turn 1. And Fernando Alonso up then and into P4 of this GP. Don't think either of them are going to score a podium today, but hopefully they're both going to end up in the points. As long as I beat Sainz, then I'm happy. Oh, Sainz, though, way too slow at the moment. Down the inside will go at the end of the back straight. I just was starting to look at the gap to Alonso opening up and feel like we had to make that move. Maybe it wasn't well timed, because it might mean Carlos can get a run back on me in towards Turn 1, but we still have to try and defend from him as best as we can there, as trying to take as much curbing through the final turn as we possibly can. Carlos Sainz, so yeah, I think that Williams, he's used up the best of what his soft compound tyre had to offer. But is Alonso now actually going to go and apply pressure to Norris? Well, Fernando Alonso should be into the pit lane then at the end of this lap. And then awkwardly, if he doesn't, I think we might start tripping over each other in this Grand Prix, because I want to dive in at the end of next lap. These mediums are feeling very second-hand at this point, but they certainly haven't fallen off in the same way Carlos Sainz's softs have. As Fernando Alonso, he will not dive into the pits just yet, so we're going to have the box pit confirmed with the team. Make sure they are aware that this is our lap. Yep, we're going to be approaching that pit window right now. I really hope Fernando now doesn't dive in, but I'm not holding my breath. Is Alonso going to be into the pit lane then? No, he is not, so good teamwork and communication there. Fernando willing to go just one lap longer to try and help us out. Oh, I just panicked at the last moment there and thought, I just got to lock up the tyres and pray that we get it slowed down, as we will hold up Lando Norris slightly, so that's going to help our teammate out in this GP. But yeah, 12 laps on the mediums was doable.
Turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
We probably should be getting a penalty then for an illegal pit exit right into Esteban Ocon. But Kimi Antonelli then, he should have got quite a big undercut on me. It doesn't look like he has on those hards. So first and foremost, we need to get back to the points. Secondly, it's going to be which of those hard compound runners can we close up to and beat by the end of the race. There we go, Fernando into the pit lane as Lando Norris trying to make some moves just up the road there, trying to find a way around Gabriel Bortoleto. I think it's worth staying behind Antonelli until we get back round through the DRS zone. But he is definitely slowing us up a little bit there. It's also not ideal to immediately come out in traffic and obviously take a load out of your fresh tyres. But hopefully we're not going to be stuck in traffic for much longer, as we should be back into the points. If I can make this move happen. There is Fernando. He's on hard tyres. So that's quite an interesting call then from Alonso to get to the end. Doesn't fancy using a set of mediums. But can I just hang on to the coattails of our teammate and allow him to drag us along? We've done it before. We'll do it again. Teamwork in this team so far this year has been pretty good. Well, currently then, it is just your big 5 teams making up your top 10 with less than 10 laps to go here, but I still think there could be some shake-up by the end of the afternoon. Esteban Ocon is taking good time out of Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I'm just looking at the mini-map and kind of eyeing up Russell and Leclerc in that Mercedes, that Mercedes and the Ferrari. So I'm hoping Alonso's got the pace to get to them by the end. I don't really want to try and go for a move on our teammate just yet. But I am very conscious that we might burn up the tyres sat in the dirty air. Ooh, we've got yellows. Oh, it's Lewis Hamilton, I think. Lewis Hamilton, I think, is breaking down and is going to be out of the Grand Prix then. So disappointment for him. Annoyingly, I was so focused on that, I've gone and dropped myself out of the range of our teammate as well there. But that's certainly going to mean that the top 5 teams aren't going to be the only ones scoring. But on a very warm June day here, Ferrari, they cannot handle the heat. Well, there we go. Looks like Lando Norris has made the move work on George Russell then. So how quickly is that gap going to come down towards the end of the afternoon? We are just slowly dropping away from Alonso, who has made his strategy work fantastically. I need about 0.8 seconds out of George Russell though. But I'm hoping if Alonso and him have a squabble, that will bring us a little bit closer to the pair of them. Russell is definitely struggling towards the end. Alonso and I smell blood in the water, especially when you've got to remember, obviously, those guys are our main title rivals. Here we go, Alonso trying to make the move on Russell, back in towards turn 1. 3 laps to go of the Grand Prix, and Fernando Alonso will make his way through and up then into P6 here. Like I said, an important position to gain in the Constructors' Championship. But we are taking bags of time out of Russell as well. I really do feel like this has been the first race on this game where I'm kind of completely beginning to understand the mechanics, how things work, and everything like that. It has taken quite a bit of learning, but I finally feel like we're understanding all of the nuance that it takes inside F1 25. Well, just over a lap to go then of the Grand Prix, and we are now finally in the range of George Russell. Further back, Mercedes' day getting even worse because Antonelli has now lost a place to Esteban Ocon as well here late on. So things are really starting to come together for the Aston Martin team. But for Mercedes, you've got to be questioning, 2 of the teams you supply engines to are doing a better job at the moment in McLaren and Aston Martin here. When are you going to try and get back in the fight there? Little mistake through the final corner, but 1 more lap to go then. I'll be able to get close enough to Russell on the run back in towards turn 1. We can't quite get to him that time round. We've definitely compromised our straight line speed today to be quick through the corners, but honestly, I don't think that has been such a bad call. I believe it's Verstappen who has absolutely dominated this one this afternoon, and I think he's going to be rounding his way through the final few corners here. The one-stop strategy certainly has worked for the Dutchman, who has controlled the pace fantastically. As through the final turn, it is going to be Max Verstappen back on the top step of the podium yet again, and will rein in that gap on both McLaren cars quite considerably. I believe it's also going to be a Red Bull 1-2, so helping them out in the Constructors' Championship. But up the hill we go for through Campsa one final time. Can we get a run on George Russell now? We're going to have to go for a big, big dive. I've been confident on the brakes here all day, and we will make the move work on the Mercedes, man. Get a little bit of a wobble out on the exit of the corner, but Aston Martin then, from I think it was about 9th and 17th today, we're going to recover to 6th and 7th. Very, very happy. The car has felt fantastic. Tyre wear warning light flashes up, but I will take even more points.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
And it's one thing to win, but to win like that in total dominant style, that was a fantastic drive, and it is not one that we see very often.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've absolutely loved watching that action today, and I'm sure these three have loved taking part. Here come our podium finishers. One of the all-time greats celebrates yet again. It's another podium, it's another top step for Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then at the end of the Spanish Grand Prix. Max Verstappen, pole position, race victory. Looks quite easy on paper, but today we all know it was anything but for the Dutchman. Had to stretch the tyres out on both stints during the Grand Prix there. Yuki Tsunoda, to be fair to him, made the two-stop work as best as he could. I don't think he was going to be able to compete with his teammate anyway today, but a 1-2 for Red Bull. Are they now making a charge with that new technical directive that has come in here at Barcelona? Oscar Piastri in P3. Charles Leclerc showed great pace to finish P4 after the grid penalties there. Lando Norris followed by Alonso and ourselves in the end, so very, very happy that we were able to pick up another double points haul for the team. Russell, Ocon, Antonelli will round out your top 10 there. Carlos Sainz just a 10th away from getting points at his home race as well. I'm sure he'll be gutted to have narrowly missed out when all is said and done. Ollie Behrman 1 lap down. Lewis Hamilton, the only driver who failed to see the checkered flag. Question marks surely will be raised over at Ferrari there. But look at that! At the top of the World Championship, a three-way tie between Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen. That is absolutely mental to see. Yuki Tsunoda re-jumps me into P4, but we are still ahead of Hamilton and Russell there. Fernando Alonso now 1 point back from Andrea Kimi Antonelli, as for the first time this year, he is nestled inside that top 10. Constructors-wise, McLaren still 47 clear of Red Bull, but with Hamilton's failure, we jumped to third ahead of Ferrari as well. So again, very, very happy with that. Haas now ahead of Williams by 5 points as well, a little bit further back. Alpine in a little bit of no man's land. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon ready for the Canadian Grand Prix.